Regardless of what you think of him as a person, given his quirks and personal beliefs, it's hard to deny that Tom Cruise is a talented actor, so much so that despite playing a side character, he's one of the best, if not the best, part of the 2008 film Tropic Thunder. By design, the movie, which satirizes Hollywood and its stars, is filled with controversy, ranging from extreme method acting to shallow Oscar baiting. Despite its numerous controversies, though, the 2008 film is widely beloved. One aspect of the movie that is objectively great is Cruise's unusual performance as Les Grossman, the profane, ill-tempered movie mogul.
You. Hit that director in the face. Really fucking hard.
With the combination of Grossman's distinct quirks and Cruise's willingness and talents to completely lose himself in the character, Cruise created one of the most memorable villains in the history of film, the likes of which will almost certainly never be seen again, given the potential career-ending risks that Cruise took to bring the character to life. Making $195 million off a $92 million budget, Tropic Thunder is a satirical action film directed by Ben Stiller, who also co-wrote and starred in the feature. The film is a parody of various classic war films, with a story that revolves around a group of actors who are dropped into the middle of a jungle, where they're forced to rely on their acting skills to survive the real-life dangers. The screenplay was written by Stiller, Justin Theroux, and Ethan Cohen, based on a story by Stiller and Theroux. After the project was greenlit in 2006, filming took place in 2007 in Hawaii over 13 weeks. The movie was released in the US in August 2008 and became Stiller's most successful film as a director. Additionally, the film received generally positive reviews, specifically for its willingness to satirize Hollywood and do so with such unapologetic viciousness, particularly in regards to the fake trailers.
This summer, America's favorite obese family is back.
Numerous critics also praised the various performances, specifically those of Stiller, Robert Downey Jr., Jack Black, and Cruise. The film's depiction of the mentally handicapped and Downey's method acting generated significant controversy. Still, the film is more than any one thing, as it swings from parody to satire to absurdity, much of which is embodied in a single character, Les Grossman.
Take a big step back and literally fuck your own face!
Even though Cruise only ended up playing a small role in Tropic Thunder, he was involved in the film from a relatively early stage of pre-production. He was actually originally supposed to play the leading role of Tug Speedman, a once highly sought-after action movie star whose career was on a downswing after the phenomenal success of his Scorcher franchise.
Who left the fridge open?
Given that Stiller had co-written the script and was also directing, it made sense that he didn't initially want to also star in the leading role. When it came to writing the script, Cohen was a late addition to the writing team, though he proved to be critical to achieving the end result. He first saw the original script around 2002. Ultimately, he would come up with the idea that would lead to Cruise creating Grossman. Basically, Stiller and Theroux were trying to figure out just why the actors would get abandoned and why no one would notice that all these stars were missing. That's when Cohen made a suggestion. At this point, Cruise had already read the script and realized that there needed to be another villain, specifically stating that the story could use a greedy studio executive who represented the gross part of Hollywood. Stiller realized that just such a villain immediately fixed a problem the writing team had had. In the original pre-Cohen draft, the story never cut back to the real world. So, by adding Grossman and having his various scenes intercut with the main story, this fixed the initial plot holes. Soon, a new draft was written and Cruise was offered the role of Grossman. However, initially, he couldn't take it due to scheduling conflicts. Fortunately, the script would later go through numerous rewrites, by the end of which Cruise was free to appear in the film, and he was especially excited at the prospect of bringing Grossman, someone so drastically different to anyone he'd ever played before, to life. There are numerous aspects of Cruise's performance of Grossman that truly bring the character to life, ranging from his mannerisms, the wild mood swings, and the dance moves. And his distinct look, which was drastically different to Cruise's own appearance, was another crucial aspect of the character. Although Cruise wasn't exactly sure how to play Grossman at first, he had a couple of key ideas early on. Specifically, he wanted the character to have large menacing hands, hairy arms, and really like to dance. Aesthetically, Cruise required a significant amount of makeup and prosthetics to bring the character to life. For the task, Cruise turned to makeup designer Michelle Burke, who Cruise had previously worked with on 1994's Interview with the Vampire, and become the star's go-to makeup artist. Initially, Cruise's only stipulation was that he wanted Grossman to have a lot of hair on his arms and chest. Soon though, as Cruise thought more and more about the character, a much more detailed image emerged, including that Grossman should be balding and overweight. Ultimately, Grossman's look and personality end up having a striking resemblance to the real-world movie mogul, Scott Rudin, something that makes Cruise's iconic performance in Tropic Thunder even more impressive, given that he was able to get away with such a vicious and obvious parody of one of the most powerful and humorless figures in the film industry.
Instead of 100 million, how about I send you a hobo's dick cheese?
Over the course of his career, Rudin achieved phenomenal success as an American film, television, and theater producer. Most of his accomplishments were in the film industry, with numerous critically acclaimed movies to his name, such as 1998's The Truman Show, 2007's No Country for Old Men, and 2010's The Social Network, in addition to numerous other classics. Despite his success, though, he is best known by those within the film industry for both his temper and for treating others very, very poorly. For decades, though Rudin was little known outside of the industry, he was one of the most powerful and feared moguls in Hollywood. It wasn't until April 2021 that Rudin received widespread attention in the mainstream, when a story in The Hollywood Reporter alleged numerous instances of abuse from Rudin towards employees, including throwing objects, breaking a computer monitor on an employee's hand, and causing emotional abuse that is believed to have contributed to a former assistant taking their life.
It says his brother developed anxiety, depression, and post-traumatic stress. David is speaking on behalf of his brother Kevin, who died by suicide last year.
Following the article, Rudin publicly announced that he would step back from his various projects to work on his personal issues that he should have addressed long ago.
Rudin releasing a statement saying in part, quote, "After a period of reflection, I've made the decision to step back from active participation on our Broadway productions effective immediately. Much has been written about my history of troubling interactions with colleagues, and I am profoundly sorry for the pain my behavior caused to individuals directly and indirectly."
However, this wasn't the first time he'd acknowledged his temper and abusive behavior, or that he had promised to address these problems. Back in 2008, with the release of Tropic Thunder and the striking resemblance between Grossman and Rudin himself, Rudin acknowledged that he'd had a temper in the past, though he insisted that he had changed since then. However, many of those in the film industry strongly disagreed with Rudin's claim.
Look, Fuckstick, I'm incredibly busy, so why don't you get the hell out of here before I snap your dick off and jam it into your ass?
When Rudin stepped back from his responsibilities in the film and theater industries in 2021, numerous people in those fields commented on his departure and his history of abusive behavior. One of those people was producer and writer Michael Schur, who co-created the hit TV series Parks and Recreation and Brooklyn Nine-Nine and created The Good Place. The film Schur was referring to wasn't exactly famous, at least in terms of mainstream success, but it's definitely a cult classic. Over the course of his extensive career, Kevin Spacey played numerous villains, ranging from iconic comic book villains to realistic monsters.
I tried to play husband. I tried to taste the life of a simple man.
One of his best, yet criminally underrated villains is the movie mogul Buddy Ackerman in the 1994 dark comedy drama Swimming with Sharks, a satire of Hollywood politics from the point of view of a personal assistant. The film was written and directed by George Wong, and follows Guy when he's hired by Ackerman. In the movie, Guy has just graduated from film school and believes that his new job is a chance to break into the industry. However, Ackerman treats Guy like a slave.
You are here to protect my interests and to serve my needs.
As a result, Guy takes solace in his relationship with his new girlfriend Dawn, a producer working with Ackerman. When Ackerman fires Guy over the phone, Guy finally snaps and takes Ackerman hostage. Guy ties Ackerman up before severely beating and torturing him. It's later revealed that Guy had heard Ackerman and Dawn arrange a meeting at Ackerman's house for that night, and when Dawn arrives, she finds Guy aiming a gun at Ackerman. She insisted she had only agreed to see Ackerman as a way of helping Guy's career. Dawn pleads with Guy to put the gun down. However, Ackerman tells him to pull the trigger.
All right, Guy, come on. Let's finish this. Give it to me.
After a moment of indecision, Guy shoots the gun.
Do it! Come on, do it now!
In the end, it's revealed that Guy killed Dawn, who was blamed for torturing Ackerman. As a result of the lie, Guy is finally given the promotion he wanted all along. In the final scene, Guy coldly tells a former colleague to find out what he really wants and to do anything it takes to get it, echoing the numerous times Ackerman told Guy the same thing.
You think you deserve it just because you want it? It doesn't work like that. You have to earn it. You have to take it.
You have to make it yours. But first, Guy, you need to decide what it is you really want.
Hwang wrote the script after a conversation with filmmaker Robert Rodriguez. In 1992, Hwang was working at Columbia as a studio assistant when the company acquired the distribution rights to Rodriguez's debut film, El Mariachi, about a traveling mariachi targeted by a gang determined to kill him. As the film was being prepared for release, Rodriguez struck up a friendship with Hwang over their shared love of films. In need of a place to stay, Hwang let Rodriguez stay with him at his apartment. During the time as roommates, Hwang voiced both his frustration with the film industry while also sharing some of his story ideas with Rodriguez, who told Hwang that he needed to quit his job and start making his own films. Understandably, Hwang was initially reluctant. However, in January 1993, Hwang eventually decided to resign from his post at Columbia and focus on completing his script based on his experience in the film industry, which would eventually become Swimming with Sharks. Upon its release, the film received critical acclaim for its clever, mercilessly dark satire. However, it made little money, not even making back its meager budget of around $700,000. It was widely speculated that both the film and Hwang himself had been blacklisted, because it was also widely rumored that the character of Ackerman was based on Rudin, something which Hwang refused to either confirm or deny until decades after the movie's release, and only after Rudin had stepped back from the industry in 2021. Adding weight to the suggestion that Rudin had blacklisted Hwang is the fact that, despite his obvious talents for writing and directing original stories, Hwang has struggled to make it in the film industry. Since making Swimming with Sharks, Hwang has only been moderately successful in Hollywood, and ultimately, most of the opportunities he's had have come about due to his friendship with Rodriguez. With the popularity of Grossman, Cruise later reprised the character for the 2010 MTV Awards in September that year. His appearance was first teased through a number of promos before the show.
F***ing cut! Did anyone else see this? Someone just took a dump in my eyes.
Later, during the event, Cruise would dance with Jennifer Lopez, while in character as Grossman, which, for many, completely stole the show. The appearance was part of a promotional stunt. Just months earlier, in June 2010, it had been announced that a spin-off film would be developed centering around Grossman. In April 2011, it was revealed that the script for the film had been written by Michael Bacall. At the time, Bacall was best known as an actor, having first started working in the industry as a child. As a writer, he had just 2 films to his name: 2001's Maniac, a drummer about a teenager who is sent to a psych ward, and 2003's Bookies, a comedy thriller about a group of college friends who become the target of organized crime when they get involved in gambling. In October 2011, Bill Hader, who played Grossman's sniveling assistant in Tropic Thunder, spoke about the spin-off, saying that at least a rough draft of the script was written. Hader was vague on the exact details of the plot, but explained that Bacall had described some funny scenes from it to him. In March 2012, Bacall himself spoke about the script, revealing that the film would attempt to uncover where Grossman's anger issues originated from, which gave Bacall the challenge of transforming Grossman from a villainous comedic side character into a sympathetic leading man. Despite the difficulty of the task, Bacall felt that he had found the happy medium between airy and abrasive. Ultimately, as of January 2022, even though a script was written, the Les Grossman spin-off movie appears to be all but cancelled, despite Cruise's willingness to reprise the character, even if he risked further infuriating someone who, at the very least, was once one of the most powerful people in the film industry. Regardless of how you personally feel about Cruise as a person, and given his public image and behavior over the years, there's plenty of room to have a wide variety of feelings towards him.
You don't even, you're glib. You don't even know what Ritalin is.
When it comes to Grossman and the insight and creativity of Cruise's performance, you have to have nothing but the utmost respect for him, especially when you consider the confidence required to parody one of the most hated but also feared individuals in the film industry. With the power to make or break even the biggest stars in the business, you have to admire Cruise and his willingness to commit completely to his role as Grossman, and potentially lose everything he'd worked decades to achieve over the course of his remarkable career, all for a character which in the hands of another actor could have easily have been just a one-note joke.
Now shut the fuck up and let me do my job!
All right, Guy, come on. Let's finish this. Give it to me.